offers, and sometimes when it's a seller's market, you're at the mercy of their phone calls. So, we had a goal to try to add to the team in certain positions. Tried hard on certain players, and some players were traded for big-time assets, and some re-signed with their teams, especially on the wing. So then you sit there and just kind of readjust and really kind of look at what we can do to help this team improve. And we felt that the bottom six area is something we can try to add some speed, some size, and a little more depth.
Tom, it looked like you maybe weaponized your cap space, putting some players on LTIR. Was there a plan to maybe add something of more significance?
We tried, but when you start looking at not only the amount of cap space we have, but the assets that we thought we had, and sometimes you don't have enough for certain teams, but we tried to with certain players. It wasn't like we were going out and getting 3 players on expiring deals. Because of that cap space, we wanted to be strategic about it and realistic too, because the players that went for a lot of assets, we have a lot of assets, but we didn't have that many assets.
Was Sprong someone you looked at when he was on waivers in January?
We talked about it at the time, but we just felt, we've seen this player in the past actually score goals and use his speed, especially when he was in Washington versus us. I thought, this is a low-risk move and, with high return.
What'd you like about Cody Glass?
Well, size and speed, played wing, center, gives you optionality. We'll want to be bigger, we want to be faster, and he gives us that.
Where do you feel your team is right now at this stage? Still going for playoffs? Where are you at? What do you?
For sure. No, that's our goal. It's no different than the start of the year. The difference is we're missing some players. Those players, you can't fill those shoes. But we still have a good team. You look at our goaltending, you look at defense, how we've defended. We're one of the better teams in the league defending, giving up the least amount of goals. So that's where it's going to start. And we're going to have to learn how to manufacture goals differently, and win 0-0. I really like the way we played. You look at the Vegas game the other night, 0-0, special teams night. I think our group really understands that for us to continue to get points, we got to play a connected game and, defense first, play on top of the other team, and then, just stay in the fight and, try to manufacture goals as differently or often as we possibly can.
Fitz, I know you go back with Brian Dumoulin some from those Pittsburgh days. How do you think he fits in here? Obviously, you needed a left-handed defenseman as well right now.
Well, yeah, when Jonathan went down, that's been the goal. We've had our eye on Brian. I've got a history with him. He's got Stanley Cup pedigree, versatile. He's a defender. He can play in the PK. Can give you some power play time. He did, but moves pucks well. I actually had my coaching staff watch a lot of film on different defensemen at the time, and I think everybody came away like this guy could help us, and that was part of my priority, is trying to grab him away from Anaheim and really come into this group and give the group the confidence that we are a defensive first type of team right now and defend as hard as we possibly can.
Looking at the moves that were made today, is there any disappointment at all on your part that you couldn't get done what you wanted to get done?
For sure there is. You're in a fight right to the 12th round, and I don't want to say you got a knockout punch, but it was a split decision, and the player went to a different team, and it was difficult, but you know what, that happens. You win some, you lose some, and just felt that my goal from the get-go was to add to this group, and the player that I went after hard was that player, with or without Jack. We were still trying to add that, and unfortunately we came in second.
Tom, you mentioned having to find goals in different ways. Just how confident are you in the offense given the circumstances?
Well, I think for me, it's all about how we go about our business. So we're going to get to the inside, or we're going to think we can score goals from the outside. How many tip-in goals can we manufacture? Get pucks in that rebound goals. That's what I'm talking about. Versus off the rush and making your pretty east-west plays. Only a couple players on our team can do that. And obviously it's converting too. You know, you look at the amount of 2-on-1s we've had the last bunch of games. We're not converting. We have to convert on those. Special teams has been good overall. You know, one of the top teams in the league. So we've got a base to continue to win, starting with our goaltending, how we defend with our back end, and our special teams. So, you know, trying to manufacture goals differently is something we have to consider. We've got to get to the inside more, and we've got to get to the goalie's eyes, and we can't let them see the puck, and things like that. You asked me a question on cap space. You know, when I look at trying to utilize the cap space to acquire players, so here we are. We didn't use all that cap space, but what it does is help us expand our roster, because roster's expanded versus having only 23. Now we've created competition. So if guys aren't at the top of their game, we've got guys who can come in and play.
Tom, can you give us an idea of the extent of the injuries to Dougie and to Jonas and maybe
Well,
timeline?
Dougie's going to be out an extended time, and Siegs will be out for the remainder of the season.
Did
Go ahead.
their injuries and Jack's injury change the focus at all coming up?
No, not at all. I think I answered it earlier. Like, you know, with Siegenthaler going down, yes, we were going hunting for a left shot D, and that was Brian Dumoulin. Again, with or without Jack, I was trying to add to the center depth of our team. One with term, someone who would have been here next year, giving up prime assets because of that. We just came in second on it. So no, my goal from the get-go, healthy team, non-healthy team, was to go out and get certain pieces that we tried to get today. But at the end of the day, we just created more depth.
Part of taking care of your business today was also locking up Covey to a long-term contract. I mean, we know that when he came in, you weren't really sure where he was going to fit in, ultimately carved out this spot. What can you say about him, what he's brought, also off the ice, and just how galvanizing he is as a human being?
Well, first, this group is extremely tight, and they sincerely love each other and really push and play for one another, and want each other to do so well. It's a very tight, it's the tightest group I've seen since I've been here, and they admit that. So adding a guy like Jonathan and coming in, again, not knowing really where he would fit, you talk about people taking advantage of an opportunity, and this gentleman did. He's a good defenseman. He's a very good defenseman. He's big, he's mobile, he's a right shot. Those guys are coveted throughout the league. So for us to be able to tie him up and be a Devil here for quite some time was important for us. I know he's extremely happy. I know his teammates are happy, and I believe the fans are very happy that we got this big mobile right shot D.
Just jumping off of that, the right side of your blue line is pretty locked up. What does that mean for Simone Nemitz and Seamus Casey?
Oh, it's a great question. You know what? We've got these two young. It gives us optionality moving forward. You know, when you have good young prospects that come in, then you know what? You've got options. And I'm not going to sit here and name what option A or B or C will be, but you know what? It's great to have these options. And you know, again, they still can go to the American League and play, because that's what the CBA tells me. And not only us, but a lot of teams utilize the CBA to maximize the strength of their organization. And I think the right side is definitely a strength of ours.
Is there a plan in place to get Arseny Gritsuk over to North America?
That's what we're trying to do right now. Try to get him under contract. Again, that's the goal, is to get him over here and give him a chance to show us what he can do.
What's the message to your team the rest of the way?
That I believe in them, and we're a good team. And yeah, no Jack Hughes, but we're not a one-man team. No, Dougie Hamilton. We're not a one-man defense corps. We're a good team, and I think our team realizes that when you can play a committed defensive game, you give yourself a chance to win every night.
You mentioned not being able to land one of the bigger assets. Do you worry that there might be some disappointment with your team there on them?
I think, I'm not sure. It's a great question. I think there's always excitement when new people are added to the room. But when people aren't, I don't think there's a disappointment. I think it's just reality that, and a belief that the guys in that room are going to be the guys who are going to have to do this.
Thank you, Tom.
Thanks, Tom.